to the other channels.
Yeah, yeah, we're having fun with the two Randos United channels. So
Um,
anyway,
Technological difficulties.
yeah, it's just the computers not working the way that they were intended to
Hmm.
because they
Fun.
can't actually read our intentions. Colin, have we ever actually talked before?
I don't think so. No.
Oh, well, hello, I'm Father Eric.
How you doing?
I'm doing all right.
No. Funny enough, my due date for assignments are usually went Sunday nights. And I'd
Mm,
love to get them done much before this, but I've missed quite a few Sundays
hmm.
instead. Oh,
No,
hello.
you're good. You just
Oh,
won't be able to see for a second.
oh, okay. Um,
Yeah, I can
so
still
I
see you
actually
just fine.
at this time I actually get to join in.
Nice, nice. There's nothing like being ahead on your homework, especially for the Lord's Day. Just saying. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
have
best
the
you can.
exact same problem. My assignments are due on Sundays, and so this Sunday there's no class, so I didn't have to worry about it.
Nice.
Nice, nice. Are you getting all that rain yet, Jacob?
Yeah, actually, it seems to have passed us by. There was a lot of rain this morning and afternoon. On my way back to from church, 3 lanes of the 101 were flooded,
Wow.
which is really surprising because, like, yeah, I guess it's just because it's the middle of the summer and there haven't hasn't been rain in such a long time. But like out in the deserts, they're like they're getting apparently a whole year's worth of rain in one day.
Wow.
Wow.
I heard there
Yeah,
was an earthquake too in
yeah.
like
I,
up in Santa Barbara area.
oh, so
Mm.
I got an
Ohio.
alert. Ojai, yeah. There's apparently a 5, but then I tried looking it up and they downgraded it to like a 2.0 or something.
Oh well, that's
So
Huh.
good.
yeah, but we didn't feel it. Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, my friend who lives in Escondido and I were talking about how this might be the day that the prayers of all the Mexican abuelas fail and California falls into the ocean.
Well, it says preliminarily it's a 5.1 in Ojai. So yeah.
It's wild.
Wow.
There has never been a recorded earthquake in North Dakota. We are square in the middle of the tectonic plate. There's been some in Montana. There's been some in Minnesota, but never in North Dakota.
So when I was in elementary school, before there was all the climate um change, like hysteria to scare the kids with, they used to scare us with the big one, the San Andreas Fault earthquake,
Hmm.
and yeah, I don't think they quite understood what it was like as a child with PTSD, going through them constantly telling us, like, I spent my allowance on emergency supplies.
Ooh, yeah.
I shouldn't laugh at that. I mean, okay, I think we can laugh at that, but I shouldn't.
I was gonna say his planning personality started young.
Jacob, I can't. I don't think I can send the link to your channels.
I just did that.
Whoa.
Nice.
I
Okay,
don't know why it did it so many times, but
that's amazing, though.
I
I
was
was
gonna say, are those
wondering,
all
yeah,
different
I was
channels?
wondering if those were all different channels or if it went to the same one like 6 times.
I
It was
think
just
it
a
went
whole
to the
lot of
same one.
Jacob on the right side of the screen there.
Yeah.
One of those should get to Andrew.
Oh.
Wow.
Well, I'm glad that it isn't a disaster yet.
Yeah.
Always a fan of
Well,
people
yeah.
right.
Apparently, it's passed us by. Yeah.
Andrew, it's Discord.
Mm-mm.
Technological issues.
Yeah. I just now realized that what the comments tab beside the private chat tab on StreamYard means. And it's more accurate to say that Colin realized it, and I just never have.
Yeah,
You never
yeah.
clicked on that?
No, I never clicked on that.
I love you.
They're perfect for each other. Look at them. Sandy, how you doing?
Good. Rough start to the day, better end to the day.
That's good.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
glad
my
you're
alarm
good.
went off awfully early today. It was, yeah. Okay, good. Andrew made it.
Yay.
Let's go.
You didn't get rained out, did you, Andrew?
No, blew open my balcony doors a couple times though. Yeah.
It blew them open.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah,
Ooh, wow.
Holy mackerel.
yeah.
Yeah.
First time in a while we've gotten rain here, so
Yeah, yeah. The highway was flooded. I guess if you're not used to all of a sudden getting 4 inches of rain, you just don't build your infrastructure to handle it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like the Pacific Ocean has that many hurricanes that travel up to California. Like that's a freak weather pattern right there. That hasn't happened since the 30s.
yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, this is the first
Wow.
in like 80 years.
Oh.
Now
See,
it
I grew
wasn't.
up with hurricane stories because my family's from the East Coast. And I guess I never thought about how they don't happen that much in California.
Well, they basically like when they form in the Pacific, they have to go straight north to get to California.
Mm.
That is the only path because, and most of them are just kind of going northwest and go
And they'll
out in the
just peter out
Pacific
somewhere
and
in the middle of the ocean.
inconvenience some whales and oil platforms or something. I don't know. In the Pacific shipping lanes.
We don't have
Where
oil
is-
platforms out here in California, you know.
Have a monsoon every day during the summer, followed up with fall hurricanes. No earthquakes there, though. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm realizing I had it pretty easy. I want to say boring, but like I grew up in Ohio. There's not really tornadoes, earthquakes, fires,
Occasionally there are
snow.
tornadoes.
Well, there's sirens, but I coming down to Illinois was weird because like in Ohio you hear a tornado siren, you kind of shrug and keep what you're doing because it's never going to be something big. You'll hear it, like there'll be something on like the news saying where it's like go, but it was always just like clouds are swirling, And then Illinois, I was like, there was a tornado warning that went through, and I was like, okay, and went back to typing, and someone came to my office like, move, go to the basement, and it's like, oh, fine, jeez,
Oh, we have to care.
I don't care.
Okay.
So Ohio is just boring. We don't have anything. It's simple and easy.
Yeah. The Ohio Turnpike is about as boring as driving across North Dakota.
Yeah.
It's very efficient. It's just you just go. You got 3 lanes the whole way.
It has
They
pretty good
charge
rest
you
stops
for it
too.
though. They got a lot of the I don't know when I was there. So I drove the Ohio Turnpike to and from Washington D.C. this summer.
Oh, gotcha.
So now I have opinions. First off, like
Everyone
welcome to
develops
Ohio.
opinions about the Ohio Turnpike because it's the only thing to do during the 4 hours you're driving across Ohio.
Welcome to Ohio. That'll be $30, please. And then, but yeah, a lot of the rest stops had closed down kiosks that there were no shops there. Didn't
That's
have a
rough.
Panda Express or anything. Anyway, had to eat Burger King like a peasant. But on our
when
way
I was
back
a
from
kid.
Drayton tonight, I stopped at Arby's
Oh, nice.
and got a roast beef sandwich with horsey sauce. And my sister, who's the manager there, gave me a discount. So
Hey. Yeah, when I was a kid, we would drive from Michigan to Massachusetts. And so we would leave at like 3 in the morning because then you can get a good chunk of driving done before there's anyone else on the road and all the kids wake up. So we would stop somewhere in Ohio for like breakfast and like waking up stuff. So I am acquainted with Ohio rest stops.
Jacob, question for you.
Yes, sir.
Is Arby's horsey sauce kosher?
The horsey sauce itself, I think, actually is.
Okay.
Like it's just horseradish. There's no actual horse in it.
No, there's no horse in it. It's horseradish. It's like basically a horseradish mayonnaise.
Yeah, like there's no reason why it can't be kosher. I don't like. I'm checking right now to see if it's certified kosher.
Is there?
I doubt it is.
Did you just have another earthquake there? You were shaking.
No,
around?
that
Okay.
was my.
It was your dog. Okay.
Yeah, she decided to lean up against the thing. Yeah. So.
Okay. As dogs do.
And how come Arnold Palmer's aren't kosher?
It's not that Arnold Palmer's aren't kosher. In fact, there's an OU right there, so it is certified kosher.
Oh.
I didn't know whether it was, and then I didn't actually know you brought cans. So many people, many Orthodox Jews will not open a can on the Sabbath because when you open a can, what happens is you create a new cup.
Mm.
Oh, that's
And yeah, and so
I love it.
Many Orthodox Jews will not open a can of anything on the Sabbath.
Means you can't crack open a cold one with the boys on the Sabbath, huh?
Not if it's in a can. If it's
What
in
about
a bottle,
what about a 40 that you're splitting?
if it's in a bottle, it's fine.
Well, depends how the bottle's made, but if it's a cap that's put on something, then taking the cap off doesn't create something new. This was never an actual cup. Opened it.
Now it's
Yeah. Okay. I
New
can see it.
thing. Yeah,
But what if
and
the-
what's prohibited on the Sabbath is creation.
Oh.
Ooh, I like that. Okay. I think I've heard that once before, but reminders are fun.
It becomes a very strange thing when you start getting into halachic stuff because like
Mhm.
you can do some things which are like I used to walk like 2 hours in the heat on the Sabbath not to take a car because I couldn't work, and it's like they're like, well, you're walking for 2 hours. That seems like a lot more tiring. And what we have to explain is, no, we don't believe God actually got tired on the Sabbath during the 6 days of creation and rested on the Sabbath, like because he needed to get his strength back. That makes zero sense.
Mhm.
We believe God stopped creating on the Sabbath. So there are all kinds of creative work which is prohibited on the Sabbath to Jews. Yes.
Makes sense.
And then every 7 years you
You have the
Let things-
you have the Shemitah. Yeah. And that's actually practiced. Last year was Shemitah. Last year was the 7th year. So the people who are very religious and own a farm will actually not plant their farm on the 7th year. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
and there's all
hardcore.
there's all kinds of charities to help those people out so that they don't feel like they have to plant on them.
Interesting.
could they rent out their land for a year and let the Gentiles plant it?
So that is the big debate. So the chief rabbinate of Israel says that that's fine, and that's what a majority of the farmers actually end up doing. And especially the religious Zionist camp really dislikes that idea, and so that's why there are the charities to help people not keep their land and not plant it.
Okay, now I only heard the Christian view on it, but I always thought that the every seventh year on the it was to let the land rest, as in also the land should not be creating anything. But how do you stop land from creating?
You don't.
I mean,
you don't.
yeah.
There's always volunteers.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. But yeah, so it was the planting that's the stuff.
That's interesting.
And apparently horsey sauce is not certified kosher.
How sad. What about mayonnaise? Is there like Jewish mayonnaise?
Most of the things that most of the things that you would assume are kosher, and you will like look on a package of Best's mayonnaise, you will find an OU there, because like certifying that it's kosher is really, really simple, and they pay a tiny amount. Like they pay, I don't know, a few $1,000s, and then they get to say that all of their mayonnaise is kosher, right? And they get to put that on. So it's like less than a cent per whatever. When it becomes a problem is when it's something that actually requires like to do something. For example, you're not going to find a lot of kosher cheese. You're not going to find kosher anything that has meat products in it. And so that stuff, like, that's when it matters. And that's the type of stuff that you actually end up. But so most of the people who look for kosher symbols on food they buy are not Jewish, they're vegetarians.
Interesting. Yeah, okay.
And many of them are actually Muslims who just want to make sure there's no pork in there. And like, I think like number 3 is actually religious Jews who keep kosher.
So you went up to quite a large market. Okay.
The vegetarian market is definitely the biggest thing. So, for example, until a few years ago, until 10 years ago, so Ocean Spray Ruby Red Grapefruit Juice. It wasn't kosher because in order to get that nice ruby red color, they used it's called red number 9 or something, and it's made from grasshoppers, which aren't kosher. And there aren't a lot of Jews who actually care about ruby red grapefruit juice, and it's not a huge market, but a lot of no pork, no gelatin is but there were a lot of vegetarians who were like, why isn't Ocean Spray Ruby Red Grapefruit Juice kosher? And the answer was because of the and and so eventually they decided to change the dye that they were using to a kosher dye, and I believe now it is kosher.
Yeah, I imagine in that case, the having to explain it is not going to go well for your business. If no one asks questions, it probably won't be a big deal, but you have to keep going well, there are grasshoppers in this, and it's all over the place. But once we had to deal with it.
Yeah, it's red number 9. That's all it says.
Yeah.
Made from grasshoppers. Alrighty, learn something every day, huh?
So, when they say natural cherry flavor, squirrel testicles.
I've heard similar things about raspberry flavor and beaver testicles.
Who?
Look,
Is
if you're
there
hungry
a
enough,
bar?
Colin, if you're hungry enough,
Is it no? That's not the thing. The logistics. Do you have like a squirrel farm? What would it be? Is it like a forest? That's too complicated to get the squirrels.
You just put squirrels in cages, Colin. It's not that hard.
I mean, that's true, but like,
They're not like
squirrel
free
farms.
ranging these squirrels.
That's true. I don't think anyone's gonna be concerned whether or not they free range the squirrels.
Wow.
Our
That's
cherry
right.
flavor is free range. What?
I mean, it's kind of like that that perfume that's super expensive that's made out of whale vomit, right?
Isn't that like all of them?
Well, the really expensive. I'm sure you can get cheap ones that are made out of some
No.
industrial compound.
Well, there is that one coffee too. One particular coffee is like the most expensive coffee in the world. It's like $2,000 for like a cup of coffee, and like the very specific process of it is like a particular monkey eats the beans and poops them out, and that's what they collect. And it's
How
like,
do you know this information and not me?
you know what? In this particular case, I can't remember exactly where that was. I think it was something to do with like a project on coffee.
Because
In,
that's very much
in
the
the
kind
high
of
school?
information that I would know.
It's in India, I believe.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay, this might be like the squirrel testicles thing might be a rumor I heard because I just tried Googling it and I couldn't find it. But I don't trust Google anymore, so I don't
they
know.
silenced them.
It's-
I don't know. Grim Grizz
Go.
confronted me with it at Chino, so I don't know if that's a more reliable source than Google, but
Go to DuckDuckGo, the official search engine of the Catholic Church.
is it really?
No, but
I was gonna say.
a man can
neat-
dream,
What?
can't he?
I mean, I prefer DuckDuckGo.
No, the official search engine of the Catholic Church is Control F on Vatican.va.
Yeah.
So I tried to find the Catholic Church's official position on penal substitutionary atonement. So I searched the Vatican.va website for penal substitutionary atonement. And all I could find was some priest explaining that it was too incoherent of a doctrine to be labeled a heresy.
Nice.
Okay.
That's always a good sign.
No holds barred.
Probably some old school Jesuit of the 19th century came up with that. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I remember talking to Colton and Gus on BOM about penal substitutionary atonement. And they said that in order to believe in it, you have to believe in total depravity. And I was like,
Hmm.
okay, well, that's a no. And so if those two are correct, and couple of cage stage reform bros, like they probably got that right. That's a no. So there you go, Jacob. There's your answer. You now are the local expert on the Catholic view of penal substitutionary atonement.
I can never keep all the different Protestant views straight.
Yeah, I'm
It
trying
just-
to find
They just mush together
thing
for
again.
me.
Do you know anything about Saint Anselm, Emma?
Heard of him?
Not much.
He's the teacher
Okay.
of Aquinas, I think.
Well, basically, if you were to do like a Chat GPT summary of Cur Deus Homo, it would probably come up with penal substitutionary atonement. That doesn't actually help you because you're not familiar with his
That
works.
sounds
but
like a roast, though.
a roast?
Yeah. Like
Yeah,
you just roasted.
penal substitution. I did.
Yeah.
That was on purpose. Yeah. So anyway, but it's like they'll claim Saint Anselm came up with it and they'll attribute it to him, but like he was doing this medieval stuff, man. Like he had all this speculation about why there needed to be the perfect number of people in heaven, and the
Oh, that's a fun
reformers
one.
just weren't doing that.
No.
And you see, Jacob, that's why human beings were brought up into heaven, because of the fallen angels. They no longer had the perfect number in heaven, so God was restoring the perfect number of heaven.
That sounds like a very limited number of people get to heaven.
Or a lot of demons fell.
Yeah, or
True.
that.
Thing to ask if this has any relationship to the 144,000 that are
Nope.
allowed to. Okay,
Nope. That's
not related to him in any way.
I'm always amazed that somebody could ever take anything in the book of Revelation and try and map that literally onto history. Because it's obviously super symbolic, just layers and layers and layers of symbolism. And somebody's like, yep, Gog and Magog, that's Russia and China. That's how it is. It's like,
Well, especially a number like 12 squared times 1,000.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, that's not a symbolic number at all.
It is funny though, because as a Protestant, there was a lot of like, you did take things much more literally, because it's like, oh, the people like the Catholics are the ones that like twist things and all that nonsense. And becoming a Catholic, it's like your truth does not need to be historically factual. Like that's a particular type of truth. And that was very interesting to kind of look at and consider and such. So because I'm the thing here, like I probably would have been like weird, but maybe.
yeah.
But I wasn't a very knowledgeable Protestant.
So you started out Protestant. How long have you been Catholic?
2 years.
2 years this Easter, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you
Person
became
to the left
Catholic
of him
like
had a
months
lot to do
before we
with
got
that.
married. What'd you
When
say?
a lazy guy reach for stars in the sky, you can bet that he's doing it for some doll. No, there's this guy on BOM that's talking about, driving 6 hours every other weekend to go see his long distance girlfriend, and I'm like,
Yeah.
odds are 12-7 that the guy's only doing it for some doll. I was in that show in
I
high
think
school, so I've got it. Oh,
I haven't
no.
actually.
It is not what we sing
I
in
haven't
church.
actually seen it.
Oh, Paul's here.
Yep.
Phonetically, I don't know what to refer to him as.
Pastor Paul.
Pastor
Got it.
Paul. I even call him Pastor Paul because I'm all about titles. Dr. Vervaeke, Dr. Peterson, Peugeot. He doesn't have a title. We should get him. He needs to just become a deacon already. I can call him Deacon Peugeot.
That would do it.
Yeah.
Paul
That would
is
be
trying
nice.
really hard to make me give my money to YouTube, which I refuse to do. But like he keeps on, like when he first was getting money from YouTube for people joining, it's like, okay, I'll join for a month and Paul will get the money. And then that'll cost YouTube money and I'll be satisfied with that. But now Paul is still putting content behind the paywall. And while I'm willing to send money to Trinitarians, God have mercy on my soul, I'm not willing to send money to YouTube.
Doesn't he still get some money from YouTube though? For having members?
Well, yeah, but
Not Jacob's money.
He gets
But not
70,
the same amount.
He gets 70%. I already send the man a check in the
Don't give
mail
money to
every
YouTube.
month. It's not a big check, but like I send a check every month to a Trinitarian church. God have mercy on my soul. And like that's not good enough. Like not only does he want to make me fund Trinitarianism, he wants me to fund YouTube.
And Trinitarianism.
I'm telling
At
you,
the
the
same time.
man is trying to corrupt me into
Into what? Who knows? Who knows?
one of these
Maybe
days
a
I'm gonna
Trinitarian.
believe in penal substitutionary atonement and then yeah.
I
Also,
don't
Pastor Paul, I might be the only person who the one really tempting video to sign up for your YouTube channel is the Kindle Scribe review one.
Paul, you're not a real
Dun, dun,
Calvinist.
dun.
I'm not allowed to say that, am I? That's not Calvinism.
Did you see my video? Paul, why Paul Vanderklay is Catholic?
I've
Yeah.
heard of it.
I made the most
watched that one,
beautiful thumbnail for that one. Do I still have that picture? Let me see if I can find that picture I made.
That was,
It was
a
a
fantastic
beautiful picture.
thumbnail.
That thumbnail was yeah. It was
You
one
just
of my
gotta put
best
him-
works.
You put a miter on him, right?
He
I took his
photoshopped
picture
his
and
face
put it on. I think it was Paul
over a
the Sixth
pope.
or something.
All the
Yeah.
six. Okay.
Yeah.
Should have gone with like Pius V back when popes were allowed to have big beards.
Oh, here it is. Let me see if I can open it.
Just DM it to me on Discord or something. I can throw it up.
I can put it up.
Can you?
Yeah.
This is my stream, Jacob.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah,
what
you're
everyone
gonna
was
have to
talking
put.
about.
add it,
Oh, I
but-
see. That's
yeah.
how it works. Oh yeah, he's still got the triple
Oh, my
crown
God.
tiara on.
Yeah.
That's Pius the 12th back there, I think. The Pius the 12th glasses.
It's spectacular.
Peace out, Paul.
Uh,
Yeah. Good old Pius the 12th. Yeah.
Yeah, that was part of everyone's discussion of how I fumbled trying to convince him to become Catholic.
It's
I have a terrible or a dumb question for you, Father Eric. So,
Okay.
Jacob's got me going to weekday mass because I work every weekend, which means I'm not getting out to church very much. And he also said I don't have to sit in the chair. I can go to the front if I want, just kind of going like that, right? If I don't want to, is that going to be like kind of creepy for them if I do that every week? Or
No.
won't care? Okay.
no, I mean, so I don't know your priest, and like every once in a
do
while
I.
you get some wacky person out there who's doing stuff, and I don't understand it. But most priests, it's like, oh, I should actually talk to this person. They keep on showing up.
I've been 3 or 4 times. We've done the kind of silent nod
Mm-hmm.
in the vestibule or whatever it's called in the Catholic Church.
Yeah, and it does depend on how you process in and out. Because some places, if you're going straight to the sanctuary in a daily mass, you're not going to have much contact with the priest unless you go knock on his, go in there. But I'm a fan of actually saying hi to people after mass, at least most of the time. So
Do people come to confession who aren't Catholics?
I'm sure, yes. I'm really not. So, fun fact:
had a couple
I can
times.
give Orthodox people communion, confession, and anointing of the sick pretty freely. Now, their bishops will tell them not to come get it, so it's kind of moot point. But I could. Our practice is that we think we've got enough communion to manage that.
That's the direction it goes. Okay.
Yeah,
I always
it's a
forget
direction.
which direction it goes.
Yeah, just remember the meme, right? Are you two friends? Catholic, yes. Orthodox, no. So yeah, I could do that. In danger of death, I could give absolution to any baptized person, because the salvation of souls is a supreme law of the church. And then if somebody comes in and says they're not Catholic, but they just want to confess anyway, I'll be clear that I can't give them absolution, but anything that they tell me will still be under the seal of confession. So
Yeah, we've had it a few times where I work at, so it's about exactly right. You just my priest would just simply let them know, like, hey, this is a confession, but I'm free to hear what's going on with you and to pray with you and so forth. But it's not the same thing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So how does that function? I'm baptized Anglican, semi-raised Presbyterian and spent most of my time in the Calvinist halls.
Mhm.
Learning all about depravity and punishment.
Mhm.
But what is absolution? How does that function compared to anything I would have heard in those three?
Sure, sure. So the Catholic doctrine is that, baptism saves, um, but we have to work out our salvation with fear and trembling. And we can fall away from God's grace. We can commit sins that make it clear that we don't want Him a part of our life. And the Lord is not going to force Himself upon us. And so if we do that, He's going to withdraw at least his presence in our souls. Now he doesn't. Good news is he doesn't stop chasing after us under those circumstances. He'll call us back to him. So when we do that kind of an offense against him, the ordinary way back to him is confession through a priest. And when you receive that absolution, you're reconciled to God. Yeah. So
So is the priest's role there similar to you should really have a witness to something you do, or is it simply the whole mediator? There has to be a designated mediator kind of idea that.
yeah. The idea is that Christ is the minister of all the sacraments, and I will stand in his place while we're doing that. So I would the phrase is in persona Christi Capitis, in the person of Christ the head as the minister of the sacrament. And so yeah, mediator, that'd be a good way to describe it. I mediated the presence of Christ with my frail humanity.
So you
Somebody's
think
gotta
you're
do it.
Jesus? Is that what you're telling us?
I do. Yes, unironic yes. In a very limited capacity. Yeah. So
Well,
Well,
stuff like- Yeah.
well, and sacraments have real power. They're not just symbolic emotions. That's also
yeah. It's this curious phrase that Aquinas uses, is that the sacraments contain God's grace.
There's a lot of
Things
things.
that would make your mother
I was-
die instantly.
I was gonna say there's so many different things I'm thinking right now, because I've tried to make a lot of my wave of conversion was a lot of essentially arguing vehemently with Emma, and being like, I don't understand because you're pretty much a heretic, and I don't, so on and so forth.
Our
and so it's been-
dating relationship just involved a lot of arguing about a lot of different things.
That's
it
wonderful. Actually,
kind of
that's
way.
wonderful.
Not like a majority, not like a majority.
No, but like way more
But there were some pretty intense fights. Purgatory was a big one. But so it's kind of funny because since my conversion, there are things like that where I try to keep little reminders, because I'm just not used to looking the kind of perspective shift. So like with confession, Emma once had a great analogy. I'm sure she's repeating something, but like the marriage analogy of going back to Christ and having that mentality of, if I do something really bad as a husband and we're like not on talking terms or something, I don't just show up the next day and act like everything's fine, right? And so things like that where I keep that reminder with that. And with In Persona Christi, I have a fun one where when the priest walks by in procession, I always bow, which I have no idea that throws him off. I really hope I'm like doing it when he can't see necessarily, because I feel it'd be like weirdo right over there.
I think it's an aggressively trad cat practice, to be honest.
Oh, good. Okay, I just look
Yeah.
like a track cat then. I'll take it.
I haven't done any of that like half kneel bowing thing because I'm like, okay, so if I go to Catholic church and they want to, ask me who am I, where What have I attended before, and what? I don't know if that'll weird them out that they've got some Protestant just if it's copying because
That's how we got Scott Hahn.
what?
Scott Hahn was a Presbyterian minister, right? And oh gosh, I can't remember the full story, but he was studying the book of Revelation, and he ended up in like a basement chapel somewhere in, was it Philadelphia or
Something like that, I think. Well,
Yeah,
he
he-
also wanted to walk through the Gospel of John with his congregation, and he got to John 6, and he was trying to figure it out. He was like, "This is not looking good for the Presbyterians."
What's
And
in
so
John
anyway,
6?
The bread
it's
of life discourse about
chew
the-
on my flesh and drink my blood, or you will have no life in you.
about the
You're looking to pick a
Eucharist.
fight. That's a good
Yeah.
one. That's a good one to throw on down again. Wow.
So anyway, he is this Presbyterian minister. He goes and he starts attending mass, and like his first mass, he sits down and he's like, "This is the book of Revelation, right? The Lamb of God on the altar, the myriads of angels gather." And this was like some cheesy daily mass liturgy in like a basement chapel. And eyes open. So yeah. So anyway, point is that as long as people who just randomly show up at church behave themselves, keep the house rules. It's public. It's public worship. 100%. It's public worship. And so we're not the early church. We don't have the discipline of the secrets now, where we kick all of the catechumens and non-believers out. So
like some Orthodox churches still do, supposedly.
yeah, and there's an argument for it, right?
Yeah.
But that hasn't been the practice of the church for centuries now, so it'd be kind of hard to bring back.
They had a secret component.
Yeah, so you probably, if you've been to a few Catholic masses, you've got the portion that's kind of the readings and the homily. That's called the Liturgy of the Word. And then they set the altar and celebrate the Eucharist. That's the Liturgy of the Eucharist.
Yep.
And so kind of in the early church, it was the Liturgy of the Word was open to maybe not the public, but was open to catechumens and inquirers and those sorts of people. They could hear the word preached. But when they got to the Liturgy of the Eucharist, that was for members only. And we're talking like first 5 centuries. So by the time you get to medieval Europe, and in medieval Europe everybody's Catholic, they just stopped doing that because like there might be a few random Jews hanging around, but otherwise everybody's Catholic. So
And the random Jews would only be going when they were forced to go, which did happen.
which did happen. Yep, that was Renaissance popes forced 200 Jews a week to listen to anti-Jewish sermons. I don't think it was very successful.
You might say it was
Like-
anti-successful.
It was probably anti, because that would tick the heck out of me, and I would just be like, "F these guys." So
Well, so a funny thing about the mystery thing also is I've kind of picked up watching this. Next time you get to that part in the mass, kind of watch everyone. And what I've personally seen in my experience is you will find maybe not a majority, I'd say often a majority, but a good chunk of people will have their head down like the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
And I always thought it was really weird, other than when the raises up, head up. Although I've seen a few people that keep their head down even for that. And it is interesting because I've started to do that more. Where before it's like, no, I want to see what he's doing. It's pretty interesting. But there's a natural pull to like, this is something intimate and significant and powerful, and that was kind of the reasoning as to why you would make it mysterious. Is there's a component here that's different, you know?
candle
So
lights down, candlelight, throw some incense up there.
Nice.
you guys recognize
That's
this?
the analogy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I know where you're going with this.
But no,
That's
You know
Spock,
what this
yeah.
is?
That's
This
Spock.
is Leonard Nimoy
Mhm.
made this a famous thing.
yeah,
And if you go to Jewish synagogues, you will actually see there are cemeteries. You will see headstones with this symbol on them, and the names of the people with that will usually be Cohen, Katz, Kagan, or some variety of that, because during a certain part of the service where there's the priestly blessing, the priests, the priestly caste, they cover their hands with their prayer shawl when they do it, but they hold their hands like this when they bless you. And so you're not supposed to look. And I have yet to look. And supposedly, if the priests are doing it correctly and you look, you might just go blind.
Mm.
But Leonard Nimoy, as a kid, was told not to look. And he looked. And so when he became Spock, he started using it as his little, what is it? Live long and prosper?
Live long and prosper.
Yeah.
Peace and long life.
Yeah.
I photo myself.
But in that episode of Star Trek with the fried egg monsters, he did go blind.
Might be. No, I have to tell it. So Leonard Nimoy also put out a book of his photographs, which were, and he called it Shekinah. And the front cover was a naked woman wearing phylacteries.
Huh. Sounds like a real pious guy.
Yeah. That wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find the
other
fried
weird
egg
thing
monsters.
about that- so the other weird thing about that is I was reading this website on sort of Jewish women and which of the laws you have to follow, and they were talking about what the is it the fringe? What are the tefillin? No, what are the
Yeah,
fringe?
that's the phylacteries.
The
Yeah.
phylacteries that whether you have to wear them or not as a woman, and how it.
Most people will say women are not allowed. And I would pull up these pictures of, but even the front cover is too obscene to pull up. So
What? Have you seen Galaxy Quest, Jacob? And Father
yes,
Aaron?
I loved Galaxy Quest.
I was assigned it as homework for the first day of class tomorrow.
Oh, it's a funny movie.
What?
It's a funny movie.
No?
I thought you said you had to watch the same.
No,
thing
I said
over.
I've watched it a bunch of times because my family likes it. And Ilsa likes it.
Okay.
The
I've
fried
never seen
egg, the fried egg monsters. For your
Clearly, you didn't show up
viewing
to
pleasure.
Sci-Fi.
It's true.
Those
Yeah.
those are fried egg monsters.
Yeah, 100%. I almost left the studio there. Don't do that, kids.
Haunt my dreams today.
This is your homework for tomorrow.
Well, yeah, I did it today while like baking stuff. But I was like, I have to watch this movie again. Not that I don't love watching it. There's just something about being assigned a movie that's like,
Is this graduate school?
this is a lot of time. Yeah, I have one of those like hip new professors this semester who tries to make things like relatable and fun. So we watched Galaxy Quest, and we're going to talk about imposter syndrome in academia.
This is for your Greek?
This is for my, what's it called? What's the official? The official title is something like Graduate Skills in Classics.
Ooh. Fun.
That's
Another
a
earthquake,
good sound.
Jacob?
I actually I made it stop so I didn't actually get to read it. Yeah, I had an emergency with it.
Emergency, you live in California, leave immediately.
Looks like it's a flash flood warning.
Uh,
Yeah,
Run.
yeah. So not because of the flash flood, but I am actually going to go. Thank you very much for everything. I will stop the stream on my channel so everybody else can go to the Randos United channel or Father Eric's channel to watch the yes.
The randos. The randos. Good night, Jacob.
Good night.
Shalom.